How was today's practice?
I mean, it's good. I didn't know if that was sort of a tongue-in-cheek type deal, but it was needed and it was a great assessment, by coach in terms of, understanding something. There's reality, right? And humility. And those are two really important qualities for guys to understand. And sometimes they live outside of reality and they need a dose of humility. And so, no, I think it's been solid, this week, in terms of effort, a lot of things to clean up, trying to put them in some tough situations, with some different calls, just so I think it'll help us later, and for them to feel, a heavy dose of stress, maybe more than I usually do in spring, even to that first group. And it's good. I think they need to feel it. They need to feel, getting beaten, playing light boxes and doing some different things in that regard. So, has its ups, has its downs, but that's spring.
With the leadership you lost in the square and Jones on the inside, as far as the being leaders on the defensive side, who's going to pick up the down and run with it?
Yeah, I think we talked about it last week, right? In terms of, it's going to be a shared deal, across a lot of guys. And, we always bring up, certain names and certain guys. Hey, listen, it's not that easy. Everybody just thinks you just walk in and you step in and, you're a leader. And we talk about a lot of time, what does that mean, right? Hey, what does that mean? And some guys are leaders some of the time. Are you really a leader if you only do it some? Is to be a leader, do you have to do it all the time? I mean, there's a lot of depth to that. And what we're looking for is consistency. Consistency of action, consistency of, play, how you react to adversity, all that plays a part. And I think it's a learning process. I mean, we're still, we're learning as coaches. Don't get it twisted, in terms of, we put a lot on these guys and they're 18 to 22 years old. And it's on us too as coaches to show them the example and what it's like. And, if we got to be consistent as coaches, consistent in terms of how we coach. Are we the same person every day, or are we really high and excited some days and we're really down low? Well, then how are we asking our players to do the same thing? So we got to look at ourselves first. And so just to throw it on the players, but yeah, do you want a player-led team? Absolutely you do. And I think we've got guys, but no different than the playbook. They're learning what leadership looks like, and they think anything in the learning process, you've got to get corrected. Sometimes it's harsher than other moments. But I'm not, I think we've talked about guys and names, but I don't need to keep bringing them up, because then whether they get too much pressure or too much credit, whatever. So they know what they've got to do, and the guys that need to step up.
Up front last year, it felt like towards the end of the season, Josiah wasn't as a part of that rotation as maybe earlier on. Has he responded? How's he developed? Is he a guy that looks like he can fit the mold?
Joe's one that I challenged heavily this offseason. And he knows it, and he's not going to back down. I expect a guy that's been in the program this long, to be clean, to know their assignments, to know what to do, to play with great effort, to strain every down. That is understood, and quite frankly, Joe hadn't done that. And so there was a big challenge for him this offseason. He understood that. And he has responded in spring in a way that's exciting. But here's the deal. It can't just be whatever we're on practice 8 or 8 practices. It's not. That's if you think about 8 practices in season, that's 2 games. I want to see it from that guy the entire spring through summer, and he knows that, and we're gonna keep the pressure on him. But he has responded, and he's a guy that we need to be in there, and a guy that we need to help us because he's got size and twitch and experience. So he just needs to keep pushing. But proud of how we reacted. Because listen, I've been in my career, a lot of guys have reacted poorly to those conversations. They go into a corner, they sulk, they point. It's someone else's fault. Oh, coach is being too hard on me. He looked at the film and he realized, hey, listen, that's nobody's fault but my own. What you put on film, you put on film. And so.
Brad, what was working for Zion late in the year that really got for him, and how much of that is just getting used to a stronger level of competition than he did last year?
No, I think some of that's got to be a question for him, right? In terms of how he felt. I just think he gained a comfort level within the system. He was around a strong group of guys that, when you have Ty Asian and Jalen Geiger and Jordan Lovett, who had only been in the system for a year at the time, but they were able, and they embraced him quickly, and so then he felt comfortable, to sort of mature within the system. It's that old deal, like, hey, you get a quarterback that, with the first pick of the draft, right? And you want to just throw him to the wolves and maybe he gets to score, or do you want a guy that can just grow under somebody? And I think translating for Zion, like he didn't feel like he just had to be thrust into day one starting role, and now he gained confidence, through the reps he got. Then he got more. Then he was starting by the end of the season, and now that confidence is just sort of through the roof right now, and so we need to keep it there. And but I'm really pleased with where he is. And, the things that we need to continue to work on with him, and he understands that. From a technique, from man, some of that kind of stuff. But he's shown a great willingness to tackle. Even at Texas State, the thing that got me really excited is he had a penchant for ball production. Stripping, punching. He's got a natural feel for that. And so, we need that kind of playmaker on the field to create some turnovers for us.
On Saturday, you're going to have the fans here. Is there any way to predict how players might react with that differently in practice? Or do you try to?
Nope.
See?
No way. I don't have my dice under here. Roll them and see what we got. But no, there's no way to predict. It's funny. We talk as coaches, and you go round and round, and you're like, okay, sometimes you over-coach or over-hype, and you try to get them, and you feel like in the meeting room before you go out to that kind of practice, like you got them juiced and ready, and maybe you did too much early because then they get out to the practice field and there's a letdown. But then you feel like if you don't do it and then they go out and they're flat, you're like, I should have juiced them up. So you deal with that balance. Again, when you're 18 to 22 years old, you don't know what they're dealing with, what happened that morning, if they ran out of Lucky Charms and they had to eat Frosted Flakes and now they're in a bad mood, you just don't know. But hopefully I think there'll be good competition. I think, you get to this point in camp, there's sort of a natural chippiness in competition, and they don't want to lose their one-on-ones. And so I think, but they got to play composed.
I asked earlier about Hayes. Dinkins was kind of the opposite, where he was a younger guy who really kind of flashed at the end of the season. How are you trying to get him to build on that, and what kind of is the next step for a young guy like that?
Consistency. That's the big thing with Dink is consistency. And I heard a really good word yesterday that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to steal that. Repeatability. Right, and that's what it is at this level. A lot of guys see flashes, and that's big in recruiting, or that's big from a media perspective. They see a guy flash, and now there's this huge excitement. But at this level, and even at the next level, right, it's the repeatability of that flash talent, right? And that's where that consistency piece comes in, and we need him to be consistent in his technique in those moments where he uses that length and he uses his body and his the twitch that he has within his body. So that's the big thing for him.
One of the problems last year is that I think we all have addressed it and talked about is that the pass rush getting to the quarterback now. Have you seen any improvement in that as practice going on? Have
You know what?
identified an individual for that?
They haven't let us tackle the quarterbacks yet. We don't have a single one yet. We don't have one. So I don't know if that, maybe that makes it worse. You know what? I think spring ball and fall camp, you can get a false sense of security or hope, or you're like, oh, this is going to be the year, like, because you go against the same tackles, protections, like you can do some things, and I think sometimes you can feel like you're in a better situation than you are. So that's something I've had to learn, you know, in terms of, you know, I'm not going to fall into that trap. We're going to see once Saturdays come in the fall.
What did you think about your pro day guys here?
I thought they all performed well. You know, I thought it was a great turnout. It was a exciting day for those guys. I thought they did a solid job.
Okay,
You know,
I'm sorry.
no, I say Tony gave me the but no, again, I wish it was more up to me, you know, in those choices, because I love every one of those guys, especially defensively. I think they're going to help some team. All they need is a shot.
There was so much talk last year about you cutting weight. You know, I guess the goal's not getting some of that back. Just where are you at in that process?
I'm actually doing well in that process right now. Just putting on a little bit more now, just for next season. Plays a big part of playing in the SEC. So it's definitely something I need to get back to me.
Why did you want to lose the weight to begin with, and could you tell during the season that it was, you know, maybe hurting your stamina or something?
No, it was fine playing it that way, just being more quicker and things like that, being lighter on my feet. But I feel like it's just putting the weight back on is going to give me more of an asset to myself in the running game.
Was it challenging at all? You know, you're coming back from knee injury and you're starting to get your feet under, but was it challenging, especially when you have a freshman come in and start doing some big things as well, kind of stealing some shine?
I feel like it wasn't challenging at all. I feel like I didn't see it really as stealing the shine. I feel like that's my teammate, and I feel like I helped him get where he was, like just from playing the parts of not him coming in, being a freshman, like you said, he didn't really know much, like just showing him how to play ball and his size and everything else did the other part for him. So I feel like it was good. It was just really a mental thing, getting back on my feet for myself, just getting back out there, trusting my own self and playing football.
The coaches lean on you a lot for leadership in that room. How do you help this group kind of continue to push forward?
Just trying to stay ahead. Like, it's one thing that we've been really harping on. JJ and Zion mentioned it last week, just being consistent. That's one thing that we really need to do as a whole defense. And I feel like it plays a big part in the D-line room too, just being consistent with everything we do.
Have you seen a difference from the guys that you're going up against, right? Like when you're in team, have you noticed a difference in that offensive line?
I feel like they're still the same offensive line. It's just them trying to work with each other, because the offensive line is a lot of communication, and you're trying to read blocks off your guard or your tackle and stuff like that, listening to the center. So I feel like they're just trying to learn how to play as that big blue wall again, that big group.
Some people look at you as another Josh Pascal. Are you feel like you're filling that role or start to play similar?
That's definitely one of my guys. He's definitely one of my close friends. So I've always looked up to him, and it's always been like mimicking my game behind him. As far as being just like him, I feel like it's hard to do because it's Josh Pascal. But I mean, as far as being close as possible to him as you can be, I feel like that's doing what you can.
You got fans coming in on Saturday. How much are you looking forward to that? How do you expect the team to react with that?
I feel like it'll be a lot of energy, just because like spring ball in real life we haven't been the best, but we definitely been playing our butts off and having fun out there. So I feel like it's gonna be a lot of energy out there, just being able to go all the way through with it, make tackles and do things like that.
How did you see the team respond to what Coach Steve said Saturday?
I feel like we definitely picked it up. We're self-led team. I feel like just being real player-led. So I feel like once he said that to us, he knew he had some guys that was going to pick up the locker room, pick it up at practice, and just get right back to where we left.
Coach White said it's difficult to judge the pass rush, in spring where you can't hit the quarterback.
Yeah.
So how do you measure the progress, if any, that you've made there in the spring?
I think that's another personal thing, just working on you, like as far as working on yourself, just watching your hands, watching their eyes, things like that, just knowing that you're winning your rep and not actually tackling the quarterback. He brought that up a couple weeks ago. He was like, I don't know who the best pass rusher is because you can't tackle in practice. So get as close as you can.
Everybody good?
Let's do that. Say, but looking at yourself now, what you expect to accomplish during the offseason, what you gonna look like come fall?
Just put on a couple more pounds, work like I said before, work on the eyes, the hands, do things like that, and just get back to who I truly am.
What have you learned since you started practice here 2-3 weeks ago?
Trying to be a better player, trying to be the person that I came here to be, trying to be more explosive and come with my hips more. From Coach Stu, he's driving me to do that right now.
What are some of the things that are kind of, I don't want to say more difficult to bring up, that you really had to get taught, for the lack of a better term, on sort of the small little things?
Just adjusting. It's the little things like footwork, eyes, eye placement, coming out my hips. Just little things that Coach Stu teaching me right now to do.
There's a lot of guys who've gotten some reps in at nose. How's that kind of competition between you three?
It's good because, we all got a purpose, and, if he do good, I'm going to try to do better than him, and then the guy behind me going to try to double what we both do, so we got to keep getting better.
Do you feel more comfortable in this kind of defense versus what you played in North Carolina?
I'm getting there. You a process thing. You come from a 4 down to a 3 down. Well, I started from a 3 down to a 4 down, then back to a 3 down, so it's kind of hard right now. I'm still adjusting to it well, though.
How much are you looking forward to Saturday, having fans here, and can you expect how the team might react with that?
Good. I'm ready for the people to see the D-line. We put in a lot of work these last 7 practices, so I'm ready for everybody to see how we working right now.